Today is day one of the 16 days of activism against gender based violence. So, UN Women, they do this thing every year where for 16 days we will orange the world. For the 16 days, I'm going to be talking about gender based violence in different sections from different angles and whatnot. And today I want to explain what gender based violence is. Gender based violence, as the name implies, is violence against a specific gender. Most of the time when people hear gender-based violence, they think violence against women, but what most people do not acknowledge is that there is also gender-based violence against men. When we talk about gender-based violence, it is a form of violence, be it sexual, physical, domestic, or whatever kind of violence that is mostly directed towards a specific gender. Let's talk about gender-based violence against women first. So gender-based violence against women include domestic violence, sexual violence, physical violence. Those are the major forms of violence against women. Forms of violence against men, there are psychological violence. I know that this is not something that is talked about much. Psychological violence is when a person is being attacked mentally or psychologically, blackmail, manipulation, brainwashing too. So when we say sexual violence as GBV, that GBV stands for gender-based violence. When we say sexual violence again as GBV, we're talking about rape. Rape can happen on the streets randomly, just someone the lady or the woman doesn't know, and things like that. And also, whether we like to admit it or not, rape can also happen in marriage. So there's what we call marital rape, where the husband rapes the wife. This happens a lot when the wife might be ill and should not participate in sexual intercourse, and the husband still forces himself on her to satisfy himself. That can be categorized as marital rape. It is more common than most people would like to admit. And then there's the usual rape that happens around us, especially at night. In those cases, women are asked, "Oh, what were you wearing? Were you wearing something short? Was there a cleavage on your body?" And things like that. And they find a way to blame the victim. What were you doing outside at night? It was dark already. You're a woman, you're supposed to be at home. The question is, why should there be a hidden rule that women should do things a certain way to avoid certain situations? Why shouldn't it be the other way around? Why shouldn't majors or hidden rules be placed for people who actually rape women? Why should the victim be the one to make the change to avoid things? There's also what we call child sexual abuse, that's pedophile rape. I recently saw a news of a man who got a 17-year-old daughter pregnant and bought drugs for her to take for abortion for the pregnancy to be terminated. And mind you, this pregnancy was already 23 weeks old. So it was a risk against her life. How they found out was that she told people in the community area that her father gave her drugs to terminate the pregnancy, and they went to the community chief, and the community chief reported it to the police. That's how news went out, and this man was arrested. That is pedophile rape, and it is the most like insane form of rape out there, because how can a father rape his child? So today, let us actively stand and advocate against gender-based violence against women. When we talk about GBV against men, like I said, psychological manipulations is one of them. We need to actively advocate against things like that. Men should be free to stand for themselves. I'd like to also mention that men can be raped. Actually, there are records of men being raped. There are a lot of men and boys that, especially boys, the younger version of the male sex, yeah, they do get raped more times than they would like to admit, because men feel like talking about those things make them seem weak. Men are abused with words, they are manipulated, they are emotionally blackmailed and things like that. But the thing is that these men do not speak up about these things. They don't talk about it. They hide it because they don't want to seem like weak men. The idea of weak men is like the actual weakness of men. How ironic, because you are so scared of being seen or giving off the impression of being weak that you actually are weak for not taking care of your mental health, for not standing up for yourself. So the question is, for this day one of the 16 days of activism, what are you doing to stand against GBV for men and for women as well? There is the aspect of domestic violence as gender-based violence. I feel like it's most of the time it is directed towards women. It happens in the home between a husband and a wife. The husband beats his wife due to anger or just an emotional outburst, sometimes even because he's mad, because there are some men that beat their wives because they are mad. There is also GBV directed towards men. So I saw a statistics online a few days back about how many cases of GBV, domestic violence against men, that has been reported to the police. These are just reported cases. The fact that these men came out to report it is like a huge deal, because men don't do that, right? That means there are more cases than we actually think. Over 30 GBV, domestic violence against men, reported in 6 months. So I feel like it's becoming a pandemic. This is as a result of the fact that women are beginning to stand up for themselves, albeit in the wrong way, but at least they're standing up for themselves, right? And then sometimes it could be that the woman is just mad. Just like when a man beats his wife, he's mad sometimes. And then when women beat their husbands, sometimes they're just mad. Or sometimes they could just be standing up for themselves. But these are all categorized as gender based violence, violence against women, and violence against men. What are you doing? How are you standing up for little girls and little boys who are being raped? So, what are you doing? How are you speaking up? Or how are you advocating for the rights of these women, the rights of these men, these boys, and these girls to stand up against gender based violence? This is day one. Tell someone around you about GBV, that they do not have to be in that situation. It is their right to stand up for themselves. It is their right to stand against their husbands if they are being beaten. It is their right to stand against their wives if they are being attacked. Let those little children around you know that they should not allow anybody to touch them in ways they're not comfortable with, to sexually abuse them. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to click like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with someone you know. Peace.